amamponga de shipon ye mamu nyina ba reba Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi so moni tuade da se dwumadi ne botai pon nyina ne se ebebo a okrate asefo biara watu no ho asi ho so bema no kwaretrodo eni odokan afa no nomum wo akwanuasa ahoro nyinara so medinga ne Fapempong na yedan ye ho ba enne ode shipon a yenya no wo Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi so no Ghana man ebibi man eni wiase afa na nyina bakose mu no ninkuto ena emranimfu mu abenfo nkabomku biatan me kire de ba ene atemuafo emu abenfo nkabomku biatan me kire de bench wonyina aka ba kire mu abo aporo wabo mpempe din sanse twamfetede anokro eyi no eye emranimfo ene atemuafo wonyina mu odikanfo a otu ansa na afoforo tiem nokwase mi ni enkekan ene sebeka frafin biara emma na adwumayem de biara da oma de ye dan ye ho ba ene Justice Saeed Kwaku Gyan ankasa ena ereba betwetwe nkomo Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi so yere dan ye ho abasisia Oma de she ye mamu nyina kwaba yensa ka yenga yempapa me ameti hei oye me role model ode kobrofo kasema oye mpempem anasa de shipon pepedoma nkoma kosoroma o hyerenkire awonto atoaso ahoro kwan bribia di adanse e wo wiase afana nyinara so oye the most incorruptible judge in the history of Ghana. Agora. And I become my lord.
My lord say.
My lord. It's Yama Kwaba.
Ya onia.
Erba Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi so.
Wa onim ye nyina ya bre answer that sa edai abeto ente Nyankopon na eda nase. Se ode sa edai ode afemye.
No kware.
Na medamwase se ewiase nyame ye wadom a na waye bibia ebeso dani na enwo beba mfaso ama adasama eno enkwa ne ye ho mfaso a ye wo membe lawyer na masan be judge sa edwuma mielu yina no ye dipa ho edwuma eti obi obeba wanim se oye lawyer ana se oye judge we judge awaba wanim bia no potokasum you can say they are very vulnerable because wako ahochirim enye ahochira apart from se bia lawyer now so tro well eno de enye ahochire ono de but obi ho chire no say ye de no aba wanim ne yi no na che say ewo say onya areshebu say ubedi de kure
sa pepepe
na sempo se ekosi se wedi asem ni nyina awie na odifo a ono a beti ne ho ase se enye se bia bibi fufuro bi nti ana kata sihye bi nti ena wedifo ebia na asem no se na esitie do ena ekosi se nia ekosi
sa
empo se we a judge ana we lawyer ena wafum a enam so we dipa obefum sunti se nye adwedeboni bi ena ode eye adwuma no a ono a obewie adwuma no obewu se we de papa yi se nia obetwa ya no aye
sa
eba no sa ede ahoto eba oman mu
mo
na Photocasa we kasa institutions, state institutions biya no nia obia pesenka ye ne se obia be na adwuma na obia ho atono
Sa.
ye nya ni nyina se ebe kɔ totin a efibie di on sanse nipa a ye nya Nyankopɔn se woti akondwam na ubu atene a ke se Nyankopɔn na adwuma na oyɛ na bodi a ekron pa ena wapone kakra amaw
Sa.
eti se wandwene ho sa na se enam ska bi nti ana obi enti se bia oye onua so oye president oye minister oye ohinpon bi eti wo ye ama onu deni age wa bra wamfa no kra na anto ba bia wo se da na wati Nyankopɔn
Sa pepe. Photocasa me say you have been a practicing lawyer for
I qualified as a lawyer in 1978.
wow.
No, yeah. I was almost 30 years before I joined the bench.
Okay. And I practicing for how long?
So 78 up to 2006, then I joined the bench. And that one, it is because the senior lawyer that I was working with, bless his soul, Thomas Asamoah, he was one of the best lawyers that you could ever get in this country. He was the Ashanti lawyer and Ashanti his personal lawyer. He, at a point, just called me and said, Kwaku, you have been blaming me for not joining the bench and therefore denying the country of, your experience. Now the time has come for you to join the bench. I know you don't like it, but just do it for me. And I respected him so much that I decided that I will do it because at the time, I didn't like the image of the bench. And so I was a bit hesitant to join the bench. But I was a lawyer appearing before judges. They're very, very, they were very prominent judges that I respected so much in my time as a lawyer in private practice. People like Amwasichi, one, and it's one person that inspired me to assume the position. But in the 60s and in the 70s, the 80s, and especially if you look at the 90s and you read the Supreme Court of Ghana law reports, and you read the quality of judgments published in those reports, you could see that these were not just erudite judges, but they were inspiring judges who gave this country very good judgments. And it is something that all of us ought to be proud of. So when I accepted to join the bench because my senior lawyer wanted me to do it, he said, yes, I know you don't want, but just go and do it for me. And I know you will do it and do it well. So for me, my way was well cut out. Say, I'm going not for self-glorification, but I'm going to do my very best to ensure that justice was manifest for everybody and that anybody who came to my court would feel comfortable, will not feel threatened, will not feel afraid, and each will present their cases to the best of their ability, and whether they had a lawyer or they didn't have a lawyer shouldn't make a difference really in determining the end of the case according to the facts presented, the evidence presented before me. And as you have noted, in 2012, the Ghana Bar Association said that they were not too happy with the public perception of judges and the judiciary. And so they wanted to have something that would encourage judges to ensure that they upped their game and ensured public confidence and support for the judiciary. And they thought they should do that by giving an award from time to time for a judge that from their investigations they could consider as an incorruptible judge. Somehow, anyhow, they claimed that I was the one that the honors fell on me. And so at a conference, the bar conference in the Sekondi Takrady in 2012, they gave me the award for being an incorruptible judge.
The most incorruptible judge.
Well, I won't say the most. It was
given to you. There were different judges.
Everybody, they could have done for everybody. In a race,
but they needed only one.
Somebody would have to. And
my Lord, congratulations. It's a lawyer for several years.
Yes.
A High Court judge for several years.
Appeal Court Judge.
Yeah,
yes.
Court of Appeal Judge. And also, Ninjinechi, I am the chairman of the Ashanti Regional Investigative.
Oh yes. I was the chairman of Ashanti Regional Investigation Committee.
I don't know for how long.
That was from actually 82. I was just brought in to help. And then 83, 84, I was made the chairman of the committee. And then after that, I left because I did it without any salary.
Okay.
Those times when the PNDC started, they picked quite a number of people who whilst in school were activists, and they felt they had a nationalist spirit, and so they brought some of us into their system, and that's how I got there. And so I served there about 3-4 years, and then I came back to private practice.
And your capacities was the deputy,
a friend of the deputy, or they call it Naib Abir, the deputy head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Ghana. This was just sometime late last year. The international, the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission decided that he will appoint me as one of the deputies to the Amir is the head.
Okay.
Amir is Arabic as head. So the Amir, one of the deputies of the head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Ghana. Even whilst I was on the bench, I'd been telling my friends that when I retired, I'll just give my service to my God, because that is what I would want to do. And so when I left the bench, under circumstances that maybe it will be another time.
We will come to it today.
But we can discuss that one. But I was given many offers to be a lecturer, at the law school, the Kwame Nkrumah University, Science and Technology. But I just felt that money wasn't my purpose any longer, and that I just wanted to do something to serve the community, serve society, and serve my God.
Sure.
And therefore, as a Muslim and an Ahmadi Muslim. I just wanted to do something. But it wasn't something that I ever dreamt about. I never lobbied for it. I never asked for it. I never dreamt. It just came as a huge, out of, like a bolt from the blue. The letter just came that I've been appointed. And by the Ahmadiyya rules, when the worldwide leader appoints you, you can't say no. So, and I wasn't doing any job anyway, so I accepted with grace.
I was being more hard, so when we near, conquest every day. We will be calculated to
Oh, no, I've been recognized. I've been recognized. The Judicial Service Muslim Association gave me an incredible citation. I was chairman of Kumasi Polytechnic Council for about 10 years.
Wow.
And they also gave me an incredible citation. But there are so many citations that have been given by God's grace that appreciates what I have lived for, what I've represented in my profession and in my work. And I can only say thank you, God.
You remain one of the most humble, peace setters or mentors I've ever met.
But you know, say one brew once to be in some nipa, to be in some young couple. Emma, to be a man for so Emma Adasa. A son said, so be papa on chain. Obeka bi biachre obi kra na watie wa ohwe usu nti usuban okasa mu onantie mu oniye mu eno ena obetumi ama obi aye wapede ama wo na wie peyo ahobrase the fapem no
Brasil Fapempong. Yo, Oma de say, yene me ame papa, Justice Saeed Kwaku Gyan. Ankasa ena eshia o Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi so. Meke se ya ba ne nan ase, ai yere besua, bribi kakra e de afi na ho brase, na obra pa, yesusu se ho abamfa so pa ama wiase afa na nyina no nti yere dan ye ho ye ba ne aka echi ene dos de o ma de hye ma mu nyina kwa ba se ne amani tua no ye Justice Saeed Kwaku Gyan, or former High Court Judge, as a former Justice of the Court of Appeal, and Kasa and Asia, or Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi so yeresua ne papi edef na Abrabɔ mu. My Lord, sir, professionally, biologically, spiritually, physically, and everything, how do you describe yourself?
This is an ambush question. It's a very, very difficult question. Who am I? First of all, I'm a Muslim, a believer in God by faith, a follower of the Prophet Muhammad. I was born into a Muslim family. My grandfather used to be a very prominent Methodist who converted to become an Ahmadi, but he was Kwesijan from a village. You know, I come from a village that is my base. You know, and I think that this is and I was brought up in the northern region. My village is a also know.
Wow.
Called Buya. From Buya, you go to Ketengele and Pandai. Then you go to Wilensi and Yendi and then to Tamale on the Eastern Corridor.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where, I was brought up. My father went there.
What's the name of your father, please?
My father was Saeed Kwaku. My mother was Zainab Kwansban. Kwansban.
Okay.
It was a Wednesday born like me. My being a lawyer and being a judge was not an accident. It was to serve a purpose crafted by God. And so in the work that I did as a lawyer and as a judge, my first duty to myself was to ensure that I did the work to please God and to serve his creation. And so as a lawyer, for instance, over 50% of the cases that I did as a private legal practitioner, I did for free.
Wow.
Yeah. And the good thing is that I didn't starve. I never starved, even though I did so much. So when I became a judge, because of that background, money wasn't a consideration for me as a judge. A lot of times people ask you, so why they don't tempt you? Why did they say, everybody says that you are not? The truth is that because money was not a consideration in my life, I didn't know what kind of money that anybody will give to me that will change my attitude.
You are priceless. Monetarily.
Money wasn't. And so, fortunately for me, as a judge, nobody ever came to offer me any money by way of bribe or anything. It never happened. So I was free. So it wasn't maybe because I chose to be exceptional. Maybe people didn't think that I was worth being bribed. So they didn't even try to bribe me for me to refuse.
Kindly tell us more about your wife and children.
Well, my wife, she's called Hajia Dina Hana Jan. She's our 68 years now. We've been married over 40 years. I think that she's the greatest gift God has ever given to me. She's given me 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. The first one is a mining engineer. The 3 others are lawyers. So, and I didn't ask them to be lawyers. They just chose to be lawyers, And each of them, apart from their professional qualification, each of them has a minimum of an academic master's degree. So she's giving me a home that is peaceful, a home that's with children of that type.
Yeah.
And through her, God has manifested his favor upon me and my family.
I thought you would be a polygamist.
Yes, I'm a Muslim. We have Islam gives you the opportunity to marry up to 4. But I've always said that even 1 woman as a wife is a crowd. and for me, God had given me someone who I thought was sufficient, sufficiently good enough for me, not to look left or look right. If you look at a lot of the Ahmadi Muslim leaders, most of them have 1 wife.
Okay.
Yeah. But in Islam, it gives you the opportunity, instead of misbehaving, that you can marry more than 1.
Can you please take us through the journey of your life? Key events that have shaped who you are today.
I told you that I was born in a village called Ekumfie.
Yes.
My father used to be very close to his father. And the father used to be a farmer and a merchant in Ekumfie area. And my father was the eldest of the children. And you know, Fantis are cans. We normally inherit matrilineally.
Yeah.
So when my grandfather suddenly died, the family, because he was so close to the children, and my father was the eldest of them, they actually treated them so badly that my father decided that she would leave Fanti and go very far away from there. And that's why she ended in Buea, in the northern region. And he went with a corn mill, started as a corn miller. Then that place, there's a lot of large tracts of land. He became the biggest farmer in the whole district. But he's the first known to have sold 100 yams for 10 pounds during that time. That was the 50s and 60s. So in 57, Kwame Nkrumah, when he opened the North to education, they opened the first primary school in Buea. So I went there with my senior brother. And then when we were in primary 5, my father died.
Wow.
He went to the farm, he stepped on the snake in the night. He didn't come early and the snake bit him. By the time they took him to Yendi, that's far away, he eventually died in our village. And his junior brother, who was his customary successor, were 6 brothers. He let us stay home for 2 years, 2 whole years without going to school. So after 2 years, my mother took us back to the north.
Okay.
And when we went, our classmates were in middle school from 1, second term. And there was no middle school in Buea. The middle school was in Ketejeli, in the 4 miles away. From Ketejeli, you go to Panda, that's where the post office was. And, you know, when we were in Form 3, middle school Form 3, my senior brother passed the common entrance. That time we used to have common entrance. And he passed Fantipim. And the common entrance result came with half scholarship. And I passed Agri Memorial. My mother said she couldn't sponsor us. So we didn't go to secondary school at the time. Now in Form 4, my brother chose Aberdeen Secondary School for us. And so his results came early. He went to Kumasi for an interview. That was 1966. My father died in 62. And he came back to say that they said he was too old. Now, when in our place at the time, by the time we were in primary 5, some of the classmates had married. But when we were in Form 1, some had married too. Because that was the first time they had school in that part of Ghana. Yeah. And it tells you what Nkrumah had done, you know, because with all the colonial 110 years of colonial rule, school was not in that place ever. Wow. And so people wanted to go to school, they were elder. But in Kumasi, when they felt that he was old, our classmates some had married at, primary 5 and Form 1. Now, the significant thing is that my results didn't come early. School was opening, and I thought I had failed. Then the results came. And what had happened actually was that the post office in Pandai, where the results would come, the sorter in Kumasi, who had sorted the letter and posted it, read Pandai as Pando. Oh. So he sent the letter to Pando. By the time the letter came back and read Pandai and read, the time for interview had gone, had passed, and school was being. At that time, somehow, anyhow, my mother, it occurred to my mother that the husband's other brother, not the customary successor, was working in Sopon. So he called the headmaster of Ahmadiyya Seminary and said, his senior brother's son, this is the story he has. And this is why he didn't come for the interview. So the headmaster said, don't worry, just prepare and send him your scholarship. And that's how I entered the secondary school and ultimately became a lawyer and a judge. So you see that my going to secondary school, you could see clearly the hand of God. Because when we were in Form 3, it didn't occur to my mother to send us to his other brother. When my brother passed, when we were in Form 4, it didn't occur to... When my time had come and the interview time had passed, that is when it occurred to my mother that they should send me there. And that's how I got to secondary school.
Yeah.
So this informs part of my life even up to now. That it wasn't an accident that I entered the secondary school and ultimately became a lawyer and a judge.
Okay. Now you've reached the level of secondary school.
Yeah.
You've gone to a
School,
brother,
yes.
of
Yes,
your late father.
Yes.
How was the condition there?
My father's other brother, he was called M.A. Sam, Mahmoud Ahmed Sam. He was such a wonderful person. Very different from his elder brother, who was my father's customary successor. But that time from Solpong, he subsequently went to Aberdeen Secondary School to become the best out there. So that's where we stayed and I went to continue school. During the holidays, he would let me go to his brother, his senior brother, in the village.
Yes. The customary success.
Yes. And when I'm going to the village, he will assume that he will give me transport money. He would assume that when I go to the village, his brother would give me.
He'll take care of you. Yeah.
The man never gave me one peso. And feeding was a problem. I'll go to the farm, come, and it was terrible.
You go to his farm to
yes,
read
I'll
for
go
him.
yes.
To read for him.
Yes, and he was a driver. I'll go and do all that. But I never ever told Mr. Sam, yes, in Kumasi, that when I went to the village, this is how the brother treated me.
Is there a reason for not telling
Because
him?
I didn't want their relationship to spoil.
So you starved?
Yes, I did. I did.
How did you manage it? The starvation?
You know, like when I went to the farm, at that time, Dokrum was just KK. It was half a peswa. And I lived in the north. We eat yam, pound fufu. There in the central region is cassava, fufu that you eat. The pound is like rubber. And I couldn't eat it. He says, well, that is all that if I couldn't, instead of giving me just half a peso to go and buy cake. So no. She would just say, take the soup. And I'll take the soup and I'll go and sleep. You know.
So you go to farm on an empty stomach, return home and drink only
especially
soup.
in the evening, in the morning when I'm going, I'll have cake, or go and buy. Okay. When I come in the evening. The interesting thing also about my life, which this is curious, that I experienced that time, was that whereas in Kumasi, I never had any problem. But in the village, I had a lot of problems. From Form 2 up to Form 5, when he told me not to go there again and prepare for my O-level, those times when I went to the village and I was distressed, practically every night I would dream and see my father. And it is through dreams that I got to know this was my father. The interesting thing is that from Form 4, about Form 4, Form 5, from 1970, when I never went there again, and I was staying with my other uncle, Major Kuma and Fanti, Sam, and I didn't have a problem. She was such a wonderful person. The wife was wonderful. From 1970 up to today, I've never dreamt and seen my father ever.
Okay. Omanga de she mo hobi mati bi ni akechi na doso Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi no. Metaka se yere kukuru mponi ne ebesoa. Epuro kumare gu nhirane mpo na retiw kumo kwadue na ebeso abribra. Yenyina yem papa. Yembri biara. Ghana man de she kronkron, ebebe man de she kronkron, ye Justice Saeed Kwaku Gyan. O ensem ka. Na ede nade ni besi ha ye besan ato aso bio e mamu nyina mo ni hwe e mamu mo ni ti ha ade hye medin ane Fapempong Abrabɔ Fapempong dwumadi no e kura mo pintin